Start recording.
I got a notification earlier that you were streaming, and I was like, what?
Yeah, that was, so this guy who has his own YouTube channel, sometimes he streams on my channel, and he went to stream, and then I told him, hey, we're going to be doing the podcast, so then he stopped, and now we're here. Yeah, so...
What, was it 5J?
Yeah.
Oh, 5J. He's wholesome.
Yeah, he's really nice. He, I guess to help out his channel, to get more subscribers and stuff, he offered to stream on my channel. So then he, the people that watch him stream on my channel, if they like it, then they can go to his channel and subscribe for more streams that he does. Someone already said clickbait.
People always say clickbait. Clickbait when you put up a video, the thumbnail says exactly what we're talking about, and then we talk about exactly what was in the thumbnail, and then people are like, this is clickbait.
Yeah.
This was clickbait. I'm like, not. We really did talk about that. For 30 minutes, and you
Yeah.
you call it clickbait.
I'm going to make sure that the title for it is correct, though.
Put the title clickbait.
Yeah.
Clickbait live stream.
Clickbait.
Alright. With...
WAKAYLA.
Yeah.
Ah.
It's clickbait Nintendo news podcast with Ultra Instinct WAKAYLA. Yeah. It's like at the top of the thumbnail, like Waluigi's looking down. So I thought it would.
He's got to look out for us.
Yeah. All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse, as some of y'all may know me, and you are watching the Hylians Gamescast. And here with me, as always, is Daniel. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Daniel.
Hello, everybody. If you watched this before, I hope you already know who I am. But here I am again.
Yes, and joining us for the very first time is our special guest, Kayla. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Kayla. I'm just kind of joining in today. We're going to talk about Zelda and stuff, I guess.
Alright, and it is currently Tuesday, February 20th, unless you're a time traveler, and today's news, we may not be able to cover all of it, but what we have for the news is Nintendo considering letting players control the weather in Breath of the Wild, but apparently that feature was cancelled, although it would have been cool to play around with the weather and stuff in Breath of the Wild, because I would have just made it never rain. We have rumors for Pokemon on the Nintendo Switch, some Hyrule Warriors details, a new game that looks really similar to Breath of the Wild. I thought it would be fun to chat about it. It is called Yonder, and finally hackers have emulators working on the Nintendo Switch for people to play classic Super Nintendo games and all of that fun stuff, if you're into that. After we get through the news, we will head into the questions. If you would like to have your question take priority, because this time it looks like we have a ton of questions, head over to patreon.com/GameOverJesse to where you can put in your question and have it take priority. Now, after all of that and almost being out of breath, Daniel, why don't you take us into our first piece of news?
Yes. Let's. I'm just opening the article. So, as Jesse mentioned, it would be cool. Nintendo considered letting players control the weather in Breath of the Wild. So that's would have alleviated a lot of timing troubles that occurred.
Yeah.
There was a quote here from an interview with Game Informer, Mr. Fujibayashi, whose name I probably butchered.
No, I think you got it right. Fujibayashi.
Fujibayashi.
Close enough.
You never pronounce anything correctly on this show. He says, initially we did consider giving players control of the weather, but realized not being able to control it is much more fun. Controlling it wasn't really fitting in this game. In Ocarina of Time, you were in places that were just sunny or raining. That was the way the player were able to control that. Adding in the weather control would have increased the number of variables in the world. It was more interesting to have Link against nature, not controlling it. That ended up being more natural and fun. So when he talks about controlling the weather before, I think he means basically just the Song of Storms. Really just that one.
Yeah.
Part. But
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, that's either sunny or then it's raining for a short time.
Yeah. And then there's the whenever you get all 3 spiritual stones and get close to the castle, it like gets all dark and gloomy and starts raining. I think that's really the only time, unless you count like the. Wait, does it snow in Zora River? Like they mentioned that the air is cold and you have to go and figure out what's wrong, and it turns out that Zora's domain's frozen. But is there actual snow
I think it's
going there?
to, like, close to the waterfall, there's like a little bit. But I think that's it.
Yeah, I can't really remember. Can you guys think of any other games that let you control the weather? Autobot Starscream in the chat said, weather control in Zelda are the devs thinking about Ocarina of Seasons and the weather control songs from the first 3D games. You were able to control weather in Seasons? Where I guess that goes along with controlling the seasons, because if you make it winter, then it'll be snowing. It wasn't necessarily, yeah.
It's time travel, really.
Yeah. But, like, there's been games, like A Link to the Past had the medallion that let you use lightning bolts and stuff, which I guess you have a similar ability in this from Urbosa that lets it lightning. But as far as actually controlling the weather, I think it would have been really cool. Would you guys have liked it? What do you think it would have been? Like, would it have been an ability that they would have gotten from one of the champions, or would it have been an item that you picked up somewhere?
I kind of imagined that it was one of the runes when I was reading it, but I mean, I don't see how it would be useful other than it just not raining. That's the thing. Then it would just be sunny all the time, because that would be just how I would have it.
Yeah, I
And-
feel like if they tried to incorporate that, you'd have to do a lot of like, okay, like it needs to be raining specifically for this, which I think there actually is a part in the game where it needs to be raining and you need to be in a certain place for something to happen. But like that's the only time that it was actually kind of relevant. But for the most part, I felt like Breath of the Wild just like it knew that you were doing something important, so it was gonna rain.
Yeah, there was a point where I restarted my game on Master Mode recently, and I got to a cliff's edge, and it was sunny, and literally I get like 2 climbs up, and the rain starts, and I'm like, no, right? So I ended up slipping and falling into water and drowning, and then I woke up on like the last ledge that I'd been on, and it wasn't raining. So I'm like, great, the rain stopped. So I went back to climb the cliff, and it started raining again.
There isn't there.
As soon as I reached the top, it stopped.
Isn't there one area in the game that involves one of the shrines to? I think it's a shrine quest, and it's always raining in that spot.
Thundra Plateau.
Because I think like if you listen, Cass is playing the Song of Storms in the area,
Yeah.
and it's always raining and storming and stuff, and that always annoyed me because it was just like I didn't even notice it was.
Just stop.
Yeah, I didn't even notice it was the Song of Storms, but
You
it
don't really think about it until you're like getting really irritated because you need to do something and you're like, wait a minute, I hear Song of Storms. This
Yeah.
is set up.
like if you remember how rude Link was to the old man when you first start the game, because he promises you the paraglider if you complete the shrine and do some of the stuff, and then when he comes down to give you the paraglider, he asks you another favor to go around and do the other 3 shrines, and you can reply to him, you can choose what you want to say, but everything is still kind of rude. Like one of them is like, give me the paraglider, or like there are some that are less rude, but all of his replies are kind of rude. So if Link has that personality, I would imagine he would have just like went to Cass and broke his instrument. So it's like, stop playing for at least 2 minutes. I don't know.
Accordion breaking sound. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Cass was awesome though. He's one of my favorite character. He almost looks like a giant version of the Fruit Loops bird. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so before we move on to the next thing, do you guys have any final thoughts on this?
I probably wouldn't use it, honestly.
Really?
I can't see it really being useful in the game unless they designed puzzles around it specifically.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
as the game is now, it probably wouldn't be very useful except for stopping the rain.
Yeah, do you think it would have, it says it controls weather, do you think that would go along with temperature? Like, do you think it would make it hotter or colder? Because if you control the weather and make it snow, obviously it's going to be colder, but, like, and then there's some areas that snow wouldn't make sense. Like, if you went to Death Mountain and tried to make it snow, like, maybe that's what they were thinking about, like, why they took it out.
Some areas where that really doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, like, you're on top of Mount Hyrule covered in snow and you just make it, like, a big sunny day. So, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. But, yeah. So, we skipped something kind of important that we normally do. We always like to introduce our guests whenever they come on for the first time. So, Kayla.
Right.
Yes.
You didn't even shout out the patron.
I didn't. I suck. Alright.
Oh, no.
Well,
Patrons are upset.
yes. I feel horrible.
Now.
So,
Probably two of them watching.
alright, let's... I think Ashley and the one are the two that watch all the time. Yeah. So, I guess I'll have to, like, edit this part into the intro, but that's always fine. That's why we record instead of just doing it live. Alright, so if you head over to patreon.com/GameOverJesse, you can have your questions take priority, as well as a bunch of other rewards, like giving us topics for our podcast to discuss, and joining on theory videos and some other stuff. Like, we recently had sort of a competition, I guess you could call it, on the Discord server, where we had 4 people who submitted their voiceovers and ended up winning. The first video went out, and actually I think Kayla, you also submitted something for it. So
Kind of unofficially submitted.
yeah.
It's fine. Next time.
Yes. So our Patreons for this week are George Martinez, Megan Neal, Casey Willis, Rusty Caulfield, Link Use the Triforce, Tight-Lipped Gaming, Robbie Morgan, Shadow to Us, Lovable Christie, Cave Time 15, Lunarium, Michelle Jones, and the new Patreons, which I guess aren't really that new now. I need to update this. But Ashley, Monica, Justin, and the one, thank you all for your support. Now, our topic. Kayla, who are you? Why are you here?
Why do we care?
Why do we care about you?
I don't know. One time you guys met me and you were like, "Oh wow, Kayla's a Nintendo brand ambassador too. That's pretty cool. Let's hang out with her." And so that's really why I'm here. Except I'm not really like on the side that Jesse is, where he just plays games for Nintendo. I actually like go out there and hang out with Nintendo and interact with a lot of people. Sorry,
Yeah, Jesse.
Yeah, Jesse. I think that's really why you guys care about me. You're like, oh,
All right.
she likes Nintendo. That's cool.
Well, how did
Your
you?
friend Vern.
How did you?
Real life.
Coffee. So, how did you first get in contact to become a Nintendo brand ambassador?
Hilariously, it just kind of popped up on the internet. It was like, oh wow, like Nintendo's looking for brand ambassadors. So I really just applied just for the heck of it. I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna apply. I'm probably not gonna get hired. And then they contacted me and I was like, oh no, like I have so much going on right now, but I can't say Nintendo. I physically cannot bring myself to say no to Nintendo. So I took the job anyways, and honestly, it was probably like the best experience of my life. I don't know if a lot of people are like Vancouver based or know about it, but we did like P&E, so we hung out and basically played Splatoon 2 for like 10 hours a day. It was awesome. Just having people come by and just actually being able to sit down and play games with them, because we had like 4v4 teams going on. We had so many TVs set up. It was great.
And what kind of benefits come along with being a brand ambassador in Canada? Because it seems different from what it is here in America, or at least for me being one for the YouTube channel?
I'm kind of like a newer brand ambassador. Like I'm really just like, they email me and they're like, oh hey Kayla, like you want to come to this event? So really I think that benefit is just flexibility. Like I really don't have to be like, oh I work at Nintendo on this day and this day. They do a lot of things like send me like loot packs and stuff, so when I go out and sample, I give out people like a lot of like Nintendo Switch bags and lanyards, so that's pretty cool.
Awesome. And Daniel?
Including a sweet lanyard that I've been using that you gave me.
Heck yeah, Mario Odyssey. Oh, and they also gave me like a cappy hat that I had to wear for demoing, which was the most ridiculous thing I've ever had to wear in my life.
I want it. Give it to me.
Do you have any questions for our guest, Mr. Daniel?
No.
No.
I don't.
I'm so offended right now, you have no idea.
No.
I guess it might be a bit odd since like you two are friends and then you're like trying to interview your friend.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's been the best part of being a brand ambassador for you? Like,
definitely it's the interaction with the kids, which is weird because I'm not really a big fan of kids, but it's like seeing all of these diehard Nintendo fans that are just so young. Like, I met a 4-year-old that was probably the best Splatoon 2 player I've ever seen in my life. She absolutely dominated everyone, and she was just like so adorable. But yeah, like that's my favorite part, is getting to interact with all of the kids and seeing how they react to new things that are happening in Nintendo, because they don't really realize that that's new. Like, for them, that's how Nintendo always is, and for us, it's like really big updates in games.
all right. And Daniel, since we have the interview finished now, do you want to take us to our second piece of news?
Sure.
All right. I have to adjust the audio. Someone in the chat, actually Holly Wolf in the chat, said that the audio for the guests were low, so I'm trying to adjust that.
Hello, Holly. Holly was previously on our podcast, but let me know when you have.
So this isn't what I need you guys to hear us.
No.
All right. Should be good now.
Okay, so this next piece of news comes from Game Rant. It's a rumor. The Pokemon for Switch has started localization this year.
Yeah.
And there's an ad on the article that I want to close. So it goes, Pokemon fans who have finished up Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon and need a break from chasing around AR monsters in Pokemon Go are eagerly awaiting news about the currently unnamed Pokemon game for Nintendo Switch. Although the initial speculation was that the game wouldn't arrive for at least a few years, a new job listing suggests that the project may be further along than expected. The job listing is a 6-month contract, etc., blah blah blah. But anyways, we don't need to know about the job itself, we just want to know about Pokemon. So Kayla, you're like our insider.
It doesn't tell me anything.
Oh no. That's how leaks happen anyways.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. See, I would have a friend who would technically be an insider for this because he used to work at Nintendo doing the localization. So he's the one that would like write out all of the, or he was one of the people on the team that would write out all of the English stuff and like come up with the English names for the cities and towns and characters and everything. We mentioned him on the podcast before, but if you go a long ways back, like last summer maybe, there was an interview I had with him where he explains it all. But he named Groose in Skyward Sword, so he has that. Mike Drucker is his name, so go check him out. He's a comedian. He's written for like Nintendo, IGN, Saturday Night Live, and a bunch of stuff. Really cool. But with this, I think it's kind of obvious. Like, if they announced the Pokemon for Switch coming out this year, so it would make sense for them to go ahead and start hiring someone specifically to either translate the game or something like this. So what are your guys' thoughts? Like, do you have any specific hopes for Pokemon? Do you think it'll be coming out this year, or is it going to be delayed, as a lot of Nintendo fans come to expect from Nintendo games?
Possibly delayed. Just because everything good gets delayed.
That is very true.
But,
very true.
Yeah, unless they just don't announce it, and then like Mario Odyssey didn't get delayed but they waited to even announce it, right?
Yeah, that's true. The game was too big to just be like, oh, we're gonna delay that.
You say that, but Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
So I don't know. I mean, like right now, I don't have very many expectations for Pokemon personally, because I'm not. It's not that I don't like Pokemon. I'm just probably not as big a fan as you guys are. I've only played a little bit of Pokemon. I played Sun and a little bit of Silver, and that's pretty much it. But I didn't finish Silver, so. But I think it would be good if they tried something different. I remember there was a rumor we talked about a while back where they were talking about incorporating like more real-time events and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm trying to not set expectations for myself. You know what I mean? Like, so that I'm not kind of like shook either way, right? I don't know. Kayla, what about you?
I don't know. I feel like they really do need something like that on the Switch for Pokemon, because there's so many like big diehard Pokemon fans out there, and like why would you make such a portable console and not have Pokemon on it? Like that just doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, you know what? I could see that happening.
Yeah,
but you're right. It would definitely be delayed. Like, it's one of those things where I feel like they're probably going to keep talking about it and talking about it. Nintendo fans are going to be like, oh, okay, like, this is just never going to happen. I get it.
See, I have faith that Nintendo won't delay it, just because, like, unless they start over with a completely new engine or, like, a new look, sort of like they did whenever they went from X and Y to Sun and Moon, where even though it was on the same console, they completely changed how it looked. So I think the style of Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon looks good enough to where it could be on the Switch. Just like bring up the polygon count and the Pokemon and the textures and everything. But the art style itself, I think, is fine. So I don't see a reason why they would have to start over with like a new engine and everything. But if they did, I could see it being delayed. But if they're just making it like Sun and Moon but better, then they already have a head start. Because the reason that Breath of the Wild was delayed so much wasn't because it took them too long to come up with ideas or create dungeons. It was because they were having trouble with the engine itself, the physics engine, which is what they've talked about in a lot of their video or interviews. So with the engine itself in Pokemon, unless they're starting over, like I said, I don't imagine they'll be having any trouble. But I'm hoping they do something where there's more of an online experience, which is, I think, what Daniel said that there were rumors about a while back. So.
I think that'd be a good start. And I feel like you're right. Like, it shouldn't take too long, because Pokemon Gale of Darkness for GameCube was great. Like, 100%. So, I mean, if they've already got that kind of figured out, I feel like Switch would be doable.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that in the same way, and this is a bit off topic, this goes with more of like a collector's edition or limited edition Switch console, but in the same way that there was the yellow Joy-Cons for ARMS, and then Splatoon had its own Joy-Cons, if there were Pokemon Joy-Cons, yes. I think that would be cool.
The red and white, and the thumbstick is the little...
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
You know what? I was thinking like maybe like different types of Pokemon. Got some Gengar. He's my favorite Pokemon. I got nothing else.
Yeah, I was like, why Gengar?
Yeah, it's I don't like what you were saying was a really good idea, because I was just thinking like whenever you start off any Pokemon game, really, you have the 3 different Pokeballs to choose from, or the 3 different Pokemon, and you don't know really which one you're going to get. So like if they did something like that to where it's like you can, like there's usually like red, blue, and green, where there's grass type, fire type, and water type. So if it was like a mystery, like buy the Switch, you get the game with it, but you also get like a mystery colored Joy-Con to represent, similar to like picking out the Pokemon. You don't know what you're going to get, and just like this, you could get like blue and red, or red and green, or blue and green, or whatever. So I don't know, might be a stupid idea.
Is there like an IRL hack so that way all of us people that actually play Pokemon know exactly which one we're gonna get?
I don't know, it's just an idea. I think it would be fun, unless you just got a color that you didn't like. I don't know.
You gotta like find out which one has the right SKU number.
Yeah.
Start reading the boxes before you buy it. And then you play dumb at the checkout. Oh, it's a mystery.
Alright, well, our next news story comes from Nintendo Everything, where they say Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition has an event scene viewer, other tidbits, and new screenshots. This is a lot of details for the upcoming port of Hyrule Warriors for the Nintendo Switch. Are you guys planning on getting Hyrule Warriors for the Switch?
Funny about that. So I have Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U. I never bought any of the DLC for it though, but I mean it's already a huge game. And then I was thinking about it, but I was like, well, other games are happening, so I don't really have the time, so I won't buy any DLC. And then now I've been thinking that I want to play it again. And then Hyrule Warriors is announced on Switch, so I'm like, do I want to buy the game again? Because I already bought it before. But this is Definitive Edition that includes all the DLC.
And
so I
more.
went and did the math. If I were to buy only the DLC that included new characters, it would be the same price as just buying the Definitive Edition. And that's only the DLC that includes new characters, not all the DLC. The game has too much DLC. So yeah, I'll probably get the Switch version.
Alright, and what about you, Kayla?
You know what? Don't hate me for this, but I was not that big a fan of Hyrule Warriors.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Scandal.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It was just not my jam. Like, I don't even think I finished playing it all the way through. I'm terrible. I probably need to revisit this game.
I remember, I'll get to the details on this in a second, but I remember there was an interview where Aonuma, no, it wasn't Aonuma, it was the people that made it. Team,
Koei Tecmo.
Yeah, Koei Tecmo, Team Ninja,
Team Ninja.
I think. They were talking about whenever they were in meetings with Aonuma on what they could do and what they couldn't do. There was something similar with the Ubisoft Mario and Rabbids Kingdom battle where they were told that Mario couldn't jump or whatever. Like obviously he jumps to get on like the higher platforms and stuff, but like you can't press a button to jump in the game. So in this, there were similar restrictions to where they wanted to include actual dungeons in Hyrule Warriors, but Aonuma said that he wanted Hyrule Warriors to be a game that he wouldn't be able to make, and if they included actual dungeons in Hyrule Warriors, then he felt it would be too similar to a Zelda game, which is something that he could make. So it was limited in what they could achieve, and I think in the long run that kind of hurt it, because in the game, like when you go to a boss battle, it's just like out in the middle of the field or something. There's no real build up to it really. So if it was like some of the levels, instead of like in Hyrule Field, which is I believe where you start, if you had to like actually go through a dungeon and like kind of solve puzzles, like nothing as complicated as what's actually in Zelda games, but just, you know, like step on the switch, raise the bars up, and then go in there, something kind of like that. I think that would have been a lot better for the people who are Zelda fans like Kayla, but didn't really get into Hyrule Warriors. If there were more elements relating it to the series, then it would have been cool. But I thought that
was my thing. Like, I felt like it was a lot of like all of the characters from Zelda were in there, but like nothing really felt too Zelda-y about it. Which I don't. What do I know?
All right. Well, our details finally are Koei Tecmo issued another Japanese Media Blast for Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition this week. A few more details that we didn't know about previously have been shared, along with the new screenshots. First up, Koei Tecmo confirms that 17 characters are on the initial roster from going through Legend Mode. These include Link, Impa, Sheik, Lana? Is it Lana? Lena?
I thought it was Lana.
Lana, alright. Zelda, Ganondorf, Darunia, Rudo, Agatha, Midna, Zant, Fi, Girahim, Sia, Volga, Wizro, and Linkle. The other characters can all be unlocked. Next, a new event viewer is included in Gallery. Here you can rewatch event scenes that you've already seen before. Another new feature is the item card shop. Item cards you've previously obtained in adventure mode can be purchased with rupees. Challenge mode is returning to Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. It was available in the Wii U version through an update, but it was not in the 3DS version. Finally, Toon Link's Sandrod gets the highest rank 4+ weapon. Dark Nice Sandrod? Is that correct? Dark Nice Sandrod? It's an odd name.
Nice.
Yeah, it's an odd name for a weapon. Anyways, Medley's Harp also has the highest rank, 4+ weapons. Water Din's Harp. If a character didn't have a dual elemental weapon previously, they do now. Toon Link's Sand Wand mixes darkness with fire, for example. We have some new screenshots from Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition attached below, which I will put on the video for everyone to watch. So it seems like not only are they adding in the new characters, but they're also adding in new modes, like the event viewer, the card shop, and then some of the characters who only had one elemental weapon can now have dual elemental weapons. So characters that you are already familiar with are receiving a bit of a change for this version, so maybe you can find some new strategies if you've already played through it. So I think that's a bit interesting because it changes up the characters that you're already familiar with. So
Yeah.
it's not just like replaying the exact same characters. What are your guys' overall thoughts on all of this?
Well, I'll probably get it, and I don't know. Like the first time I did play through it, I felt like the game was a lot more fun on like co-op mode. So, Kayla, if you want to give it a shot, just try it again.
Come play video games with me.
Yeah. Now it's multiplayer, but not online multiplayer.
True.
Right?
They should. I think at least the Wii U version was. I don't know, but the Wii U didn't have a lot of online multiplayer anything. So it would be nice to see if they had that in the Switch, where you could do co-op online. I'd really like that, actually.
Yeah, that would be a lot better.
See,
Otherwise,
I think if co-op online were a thing for Hyrule Warriors, it'd be like 100% in. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. That's what I'd like to see.
It would definitely make it a lot better. But maybe that's something like if they ever do a Hyrule Warriors 2, that's like the first thing that they could add to make it feel different than the original Hyrule Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Because just adding multiplayer by itself would change the gameplay enough to where it would almost be a new experience, even if you are going through the same levels, because playing a game by yourself or playing with someone next to you is a lot different than playing with someone who lives like really far away that you can't necessarily meet up with and play. So
yeah,
that alone brings new life to games, which is why what
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say like it's something that on the Mario games they added multiplayer to it, to where like on New Super Mario Bros. On the Wii, there could be like 4 people running around together playing the level. And then Super Mario 3D World, I believe, was the first 3D Mario game, if you want to call it 3D, that would give you multiple people. So, like, but they never included online multiplayer. It was always couch co-op. And that was, I think it was Miyamoto said that the reason they did that was because they felt couch co-op is a lot more fun than online multiplayer, and my thought was always Nintendo just doesn't want to like put money into like having dedicated servers for their games.
Possibly.
I
like,
mean, you probably read about that.
I agree both ways. Like, I do prefer couch co-op over online, but then I'm like, yeah, but then either I have to go out or someone has to come here, and as the odds of that occurring are so much less than the odds of being able to actually connect with someone online. So even though it might not be as fun, because it's more likely, at least I will be having some fun, like, because it will actually happen. Just a thought. That's another game that was good co-op as well, though. Super Mario 3D World, I think, was better co-op. Yeah, I think almost it might be kind of a down, like, unless they really add a lot more features, it might be kind of a downgrade going back to Hyrule Warriors, because Fire Emblem Warriors added a lot of features that I really liked, like the commanding the other units. Like, so if you're playing Chrom and then you have Lucina and Robin and stuff, you can give them Fire Emblem style commands to go and, you know, take over forts or something, and they would actually competently do stuff. And then playing Hyrule Warriors now, like, you can't do that with the other heroes that are on your team. They just kind of do nothing.
Yeah,
So,
it's like really backtracking, and it would be really hard to play.
yeah. Like, I guess I like the micromanaging a bit, probably more than I should. I don't know what that says about me as a person, but
well, you're a big fan of like basic Fire Emblem games as well.
Yeah, like I like the genre as a whole. Like, Fire Emblem is really fun strategy.
Yeah, so adding in those elements makes it feel more like a normal Hyrule Warriors for you.
Yes.
Maybe, I don't know. Like commanding, like telling the people where to go and stuff.
Yeah, it felt very, very Fire Emblem, and it kind of, like, I was kind of surprised at how well those gameplay styles meshed.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know. Like, going back to Hyrule Warriors, like, I actually played a level or two recently, a couple weeks ago, and it's like it almost feels shallow in comparison. Do you
feel that Hyrule Warriors or Fire Emblem Warriors feels more like Fire Emblem than Zelda or Hyrule Warriors feels like Zelda?
Yeah, I think so. Just because, like, you can't. The only thing that is more Zelda about, like, about Hyrule Warriors than would be Fire Emblem about Fire Emblem Warriors. Is that, like, I guess there's the HUD elements that are Zelda, like, and there's the items. Really, that's it. The items and the characters.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, all the Fire Emblem, they don't use items in Fire Emblem Warriors, but there's more strategy involved, and that's very true to the source material, right? But I don't know, like, I kind of worry that I'm gonna, like, I remember having fun when I first played Hyrule Warriors, but I'm worried if going back to it might not be as fun as I remember. Yeah, but I like the characters better, because in Hyrule Warriors I felt like there was a more diverse cast. And then in Fire Emblem Warriors, there's, like, mostly just
basically just
Lord
all of the
characters.
favorites. Yeah.
Like, mostly the Lord characters. So, like you have Marth and Chrom and Lucina, and it's like these all. Oh, and then the ones they made just for Fire Emblem Warriors, the like twins, and it's like these are all like the same character almost. They're all like princes who use swords. I don't know. So. The movesets are a little different, but anyways, we're getting off topic.
Well, are you guys ready to move to the next topic?
Yes.
All right, this is one that I added in a very last minute, but you guys are fans of Breath of the Wild, right?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
All right. Well, there's a new game coming to the Nintendo Switch called Yonder, the Cloudcatcher Chronicles. And the art style alone looks very similar to Breath of the Wild. And then the screenshot that they have here is very similar to the screenshot from the beginning of Breath of the Wild, because he's standing on the hill looking out over a giant field with all the trees, and then off in the background is the giant peak of the mountain. So I don't know if that was something they were doing on purpose to, like, oh, this worked for Breath of the Wild, maybe we can do something similar, or if it was just like a pretty image they could use, because it is a pretty image. But for those wondering, about more information about the game. I believe it has already came to PlayStation 4 and PC, but Nintendo Everything writes, Yonder the Cloud Catcher Chronicles is coming to Switch, according to a listing on Amazon Germany. The retailer lists a tentative May 31st release date, so this could be Q1 or Q2 release. Judging by the box art, Merge Games is helping to bring the game physically to Switch. Head Up Games may also be involved, which I think is the original creators of the game. Merge Games. Yonder the Cloud Catcher is an open-world adventure game with a variety of locations to explore. The ultimate goal is to become the champion of Gimia, don't know how to pronounce that, and save it from an evil merc, which can be done by contributing to the island and taking on tasks such as farming, crafting, cooking, fishing, and brewing, and forming relationships with townspeople. We have more information about Yonder the Cloudcatcher Chronicles below, as well as a trailer. So just from the artwork of this, what are your guys' original thoughts? I don't know if you've had time to go through and look at the trailer, but the gameplay itself is very like action RPG oriented, like a toned down version of Breath of the Wild, basically. Kind of what you would expect from a Zelda-like game. So
yeah, I mean, it looks really cool. I haven't watched the trailer, but I really like the screenshot. I think the art style looks really good. It's kind of like I said, very similar to Breath of the Wild, but I get kind of, I don't know, a different kind of vibe from it, though. It's not quite as painting-y.
Yeah, it feels a little bit more like cutesy, almost a little bit more like indie kind of feeling.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, it looks very lush, very vibrant looking colors, you know, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the features for the games, for people watching, wondering more about it, says a vibrant open world full of things to discover and places to explore. Set your own pace, trailblaze across the world, or settle down for a spot of quiet fishing and farming. Extensive character customization, master professions like carpenter, chef, tailor, and more to help the residents of Jamia. Craft and trade items to solve puzzles as you banish the merc from the island. Befriend and adopt endearing creatures. Build and harvest multiple farms across 8 diverse biomes, ranging from grasslands through dense forest, Caribbean tropics, and more. Sit in a welcoming world you'll want to visit again and again. Multiple creative routes to achieve objectives. A dynamic living world. Seasonal changes affect routes. Animals migrate, day-night, and evolving weather conditions affect the world. Hopefully there won't be any rain stopping you from climbing in this. And finally, spend time doing what you want. Fishing, farming, crafting, questing, picking up rocks. It's all up to you. Yeah.
I'm just like going over the trailer, and it's like...
Yeah, I believe in
It does seem very Breath of the Wild, but like with like farming in it, but...
Yeah, I was gonna say, like...
They have the doggo in it, too.
the doggo. Yes.
And like... is there like an actual storyline? Like we're banishing something? So is this a situation where Link is supposed to be doing something, but you're off doing all of the side quests?
Yeah,
where in this situation, you're off tending to your 8 different farms?
Yeah, like I look at it as very similar to that, because like at the screenshot that I'm at, you can see like a big gassy cloud in the sky, and then it's like you're running around. There's I don't know if it's your companion character, but there's like a dog following him in one of the scenes, and it looks very similar to like how you can go to the different places in Breath of the Wild and have a dog follow you or lead you to a chest. And then you also have Wolf Link, and like the way that you can chop down trees to get items like you do in Breath of the Wild. Like there's a lot of similarities, almost like someone seen one of the first trailers for Breath of the Wild and was like, this looks awesome, I want to do something like this, and then they did it.
There's even a shot in the trailer of him, he jumps off the cliff and paraglides.
I was just looking at that.
He uses an umbrella, but it's still, I was like, yeah, it's very Breath of the Wild, but it feels like a bit of emptier, the world. Like there's no monsters.
Well, it is an
like,
indie
from what I
game,
can see.
So
yeah,
like Breath of the Wild, Nintendo not only had all of their normal employees, but they brought in all of the people from the Xenoblade game to work on it. So that had maybe I would say 400 people working on it, because I would say Nintendo already had like 100 or 200 for Zelda games, and then they brought in 200 more from Xenoblade. So this, I imagine, was like 10 to 20 people. So
yeah. I mean, it still looks very impressive. Like I said, I really like the art style. Though if I can nitpick, something about the character's walking animation seems a little weird to me. But I always mention that, like, when we look at those Unreal Engine games and like Unreal Engine remakes and stuff, it just like feels to me like if you can't get the walking animation to feel good, I don't know. It doesn't sit with me. I don't know. I mean,
it makes sense. The walking animation is what you stare at probably the most
like,
during your gameplay.
Yeah.
So like there's you see a lot of those Unreal Engine like Zelda games, for example, and I think Jesse, who was the guy that made that Twilight Princess 2?
Tomoya,
yeah. I told him, I think this is the first like Unreal Engine Zelda remake or Zelda project I've ever seen where I actually like Link's walking animation, because they always look too rigid or too floaty.
Yeah, and the cool thing about his is like everyone's focused on like rebuilding Ocarina of Time or something like that, and he's trying to create like a brand new game altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So
and that art style like is almost similar to this as well, Yeah, I don't know.
I think, I'm not sure, but like the Link model that he uses looks original as well. Like a lot of people in the Unreal Engine projects, they like rip out the Ocarina of Time 3D Link model or the Hyrule Warriors Link model, but in this, like, it looks like a weird mix of like Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword. Like he did it himself. So,
yeah, I think he might have, but I'm not sure.
So final thoughts on Yonder.
I'd like to see it. Like I'd want to do a demo, I think, before I buy it. I do feel a bit hesitant to actually put money down on it. So I think they should put one of those demos out, because that can make or break it for me.
I'm definitely going to be reaching out to the developers to see if we can get some codes.
Ooh, because I love codes. Except I have to delete some of the indie games we got because my Switch, my hard drive, it was full. So on my Switch, I was like, no.
Yeah, some of the games that have been given aren't that great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we should just do like a rundown, in a couple weeks, like just a rundown. Every game we've had to, every indie game we've been sent. Review it in 1 minute each.
Alright, and what about you, Kayla, before we move to our final topic?
Honestly, I think that I'd probably play it, especially something with like farming. I'm, a Harvest Moon fan. I love farming. I love doing all those little things, kind of like more like Stardew Valley kind of a feel. So, I don't know, that's literally my kind of genre, so I'd probably give it a try, but Daniel's right, like, I'd probably want to try a demo first, just because, like, looking at a bit of that initial, like, trailer gameplay, like, yeah, the walking animation's a little bit wonky, yeah, it does feel kind of like a rip, but we'll see, like, they probably have their own little thing they did to it, little something.
There's no farming in Zelda, so it's like Harvest Moon cross Zelda.
Yeah,
almost.
Yes.
That's weird, too, because there are like farms in Zelda. Like there's the pumpkin patches that are in like Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild. Like they grow carrots and everything, but then it's like Link can't do any of that. The closest that he could do is like Ocarina of Time. You could like plant the magic beans, but that was it.
It took you 7 years to grow a bean.
Yeah, and then Majora's Mask, he
would be a disaster. We get too caught up petting the dogs in Zelda games. We'd be a disaster if we were able to like plant a pumpkin or something.
I just want to pet the dogs in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, no, that would be like a really cool aspect if like instead of having Link's house in Hatina Village or however it's pronounced, if you could like have your house out in the middle of Hyrule Field, just like an isolated place. Like there's the next to the snowboarding minigame, there's the girl that lives in the cabin up in the mountain by herself. So if there was like an area where Link could build his house and then have like his own garden growing, I think that would have been a really cool feature. And then they could include something like a castle defense style gameplay mechanic to where you have your farm and your house, but at certain times you have to like stop camps of bokoblins like trying to come in and take them. Like all of your fruits and vegetables that you're growing. Your stealth carrots and mushrooms or rushrooms, whatever they're called.
I was gonna say, like,
My
being out
mushrooms.
there, that's a dangerous place. There's a lot going on out there. Blood Moon, you're wrecked.
Yeah, and then like a guardian just comes by and like totals everything.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That could be fun. But there is room at Link's house in Hateno Village. Like, if you go across the bridge to his house, and then to the right of the house, there's like a whole, like almost like a field, like almost like it could have been a farm before. Like there's a little stable even that's empty. You know, and you can even pull Epona into there, or whatever your horse is called.
All right.
Not Epona.
It's settled.
Yeah,
Daniel,
he's a Epona.
call up Al Numa, tell him to get on this.
Call him.
DLC
Get
pack
on new
3.
DLC. I know you said it was
D-
fun, but
DLC pack
we
3.
need our Harvest Moon / Tower Defense Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC.
Alright, so our next news story comes from Go Nintendo, where they say emulators for legacy games already up and running on Nintendo Switch through Homebrew. Now, we have talked in the past about Nintendo Switch being hacked, and there's always like a debate on whether doing something like that is, like, whether it's legal or not, like the morality to it. Should you put on games that you don't own? Is it okay to download the games if you do own them, or whatever? But with this, it says, here we go, the floodgates are starting to open. While there's no way to play Switch games outside of actually purchasing them, that hasn't stopped the Switch homebrew scene from running legacy games through emulators on the platform. I wonder if Nintendo is going to start firing back on this stuff. So fans want Virtual Console to come to the Nintendo Switch. They want it so bad, in fact, that some of them apparently are taking it upon themselves to get their own Virtual Console games on the Nintendo Switch. So just, what are your guys' thoughts on this? Like,
I also want Virtual Console, but I want it
legally.
to like cloud with the other Virtual Consoles, so I don't have to buy the
3DS
same
and Wii
games
U.
that yeah, exactly, like
Virtual
games I've already
Boy.
bought. But I mean, like, I'm not devastated that it isn't there yet. I don't know. Like, I get it that people want the Virtual Console, like, and they can get their old Super Nintendo games and then take it on the go with them. Like, yeah, that's cool, man. Like, I like that idea. But like,
Yeah.
I didn't buy a Nintendo Switch because I was like, better buy Super Mario Bros. 3 again. I really want to get a $400 console so that I can get myself another copy of A Link to the Past. Like, you know, no.
Right.
There's, yeah, that's
Right.
my thought.
Well, what about you, Kayla?
Yeah, I kind of get where Daniel's coming from. I feel like the biggest part for people ever wanting to do that is, like, I could just think of, like, maybe younger generation gamers that haven't gotten to play all of these games. It's really hard to have access to them now. Because I know a lot of people will just emulate on their computer, but even then, like, that does not handle very well. I would probably pass on it though, because, like, I've been around, I've played all of these games. I'm not very interested in buying them again on my Switch. Like, I'm here for new content.
Yeah, exactly, right.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, good news for you guys, because there's also an update about Nintendo's online service from their investor Q&A. This was another news story that we had, but I thought it kind of went with it because it talks about Virtual Console, and the reason people are worried about the emulator is so they could play the games that would be available on Virtual Console. So it says, in a session with President of Nintendo Tatsumi Kimishima and Executive Officer Shinya Takahashi discussed Nintendo's approach to the online service. First, Kimishima said that Nintendo has dedicated substantial resources to creating the service, and it's putting a lot of energy behind it. The idea is to make the service a way for people to play more of Nintendo's games, as well as diversify how the games are played. There's another quote. I think that announcement will convey to you how we plan to popularize the service. We have some ideas about how to make Nintendo Switch Online appealing when it becomes a for-pay service, so I think our next announcement will be worth the wait. So they say their next announcement, which makes me think that they're already putting together the announcement for what Virtual Console and their online service, because it's not just an online service to play games with people. included in with the price is getting these retro games. Like, they talked about taking Super Nintendo games and adding an online functionality to them so you could play with other people. So it seems like we're not far away from at least an announcement of exactly what we're going to get with the Virtual Console. So what are you guys thinking about this? Like, when do you think the announcement will be? Because the next big thing is E3, but they could use E3 to just focus on like Pokemon and Metroid Prime 4 and other big games, and give a smaller announcement during a direct before E3 about their online service. Or they could just mix it in with their announcement at E3. Who knows? But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts? When do you expect online service to be announced? Starting with you, Kayla, this time.
I'd probably say at E3, because like it doesn't really make sense to do a smaller direct for that, because having online capability is a really big thing. Like that, well, I guess at the same time, I feel like it probably wouldn't take that long either to really talk about, so I think it would probably be a smaller segment within E3, while they continue to talk about, hopefully, all of the other amazing games that are going to come out.
Yeah. You know what they could do?
I agree.
They could use it to release a localized version of Mother 3 that everybody's wanting.
You should ask Reggie that directly.
Oh yeah? Let me just...
He loves it when fans ask him about Mother 3.
I'll send him a text after the podcast.
send him the old text-a-roo.
Alright, so we finally made it to our mailbag. Do you still have maybe 15 minutes, Kayla, for the mailbag?
Yeah, I'm good.
Alright.
Sweet.
So we'll try to get through these questions a little bit faster than we normally do. So...
Try.
Try to, yes. So
we say that every time.
Alright. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse, as some of you all may know me, and here with us for the very first time is Kayla, who happens to be a fellow Canadian Nintendo brand ambassador. So all of the Canadian fans, say hello.
Ooh. All of the Canadians.
Yes, both of my Canadian fans.
You would be...
That's you, Holly.
And,
I know you're in the chat.
Yeah, and then there's like... Every time Canada's mentioned, there's always people in the chat being like, woo, go Canada.
Can you hear my Canadian accent?
Yeah. Alright. So this is our Zelda mailbag, where you can write in and submit your questions to be answered live on the show. You can leave them in the comments below, head over to our Discord channel, or become a Patreon at patreon.com/GameOverJesse, where you can have your questions take priority, just like Ashley did. Ashley asks, Game Over Jesse, my question is, why do you hate on Rivali? Simple answer, Rivali is the worst of the 4 champions.
Correct. He's a jerk.
Yes.
That's why.
What about you, though, Kayla? You're new. Do you hate Rivali? Do you love Rivali? What's your relationship with him?
You know what? I kind of like the jerk bags. Like, people that are super mean. Like, I like those. That's my kind of people. I am a mean person, therefore I kind of relate. So you know what?
Alright. Well, but yeah, I guess Daniel and I both agree on this, and Ashley asked the question. Kayla thinks Rivali... So you like Rivali because he's a jerk?
Yeah, I like him
like
because he's a jerk.
Voice.
Yeah. Thanks.
Right.
Thanks, Daniel.
There you go, Ashley. Your question was answered. Our next question comes from Tebtu, who asks, what about a game where you start off playing as Link's parents? That would be interesting. Only Ocarina of Time Link parents, though.
The other ones aren't interesting?
Yeah, that last part kind of made me question it, because that goes with the theory that people mentioned before on like the worst Zelda theories about Ganondorf being Link's father in Ocarina of Time.
No. There's a reason that we titled that video Worst Zelda Theory.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how I feel about it, but I don't even think we see his Link's mom in that game. It's just like they mention his mom. Wind Waker, I don't think there's any mention of his parents, but his grandmother is there. His uncle is usually in like A Link to the Past. Minish Cap, I believe.
Minish Cap is grandpa. Smithy.
Okay.
And what other family does he have? Really? I think that might be it.
Yeah, like even on technically, I guess, like
there's talks
to
of Link's father in Breath of the Wild.
To be a bit morbid, in Skyward Sword, I guess his parents are on Skyloft, but they're in the graveyard. So, like, because it's like you look around and like you see, like there are almost 3 to 4 times as many teenagers as there are, or kids as there are parents.
Yep.
And so it's like some of them you can see like who their parents are, but then there's like a lot of them that's like, what happened to their parents? Did they just like walk off the side of Skyloft? And then that's why they started getting the loft wings to guard to catch people.
Just because of these two idiots, we had to get loft wings.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
I don't know. It is odd how like
maybe
the Zelda
Batro
games
is Link's dad. That's my new Zelda theory.
but yeah,
they find him under the graveyard.
You mentioned Breath of the Wild. It talks about his dad being a soldier or a knight. So
there's like a knight in the Royal Guards, just like Link is mentioned to be as well.
Yeah.
In one of the memories. So.
Well, how do you guys feel about playing as Link's parents? A story involving Link's parents. I don't know how that would be. Like if they made a game, they made 4 games based on Tingle, so anything's possible.
You have a point.
Like the Nintendo DS had 2 Zelda games and twice as many Tingle games. So
I don't know why they keep doing this. I mean, if they made an engaging story or whatever, like sure, but I don't think it necessarily has to be like, this is Link's parents, because really Link is just like supposed to be like the player character, like he's just whoever, he's just the player character, like an avatar kind of character, so it doesn't really matter who he is or whatnot, right?
In Ocarina of Time, you technically play as Link's from Twilight Princess's great grandfather or whatever, so I don't know if that counts.
True. I mean,
but what were you saying, Daniel?
It's a family name like Link, like Zelda. It's a family name. Everyone in the family is named Zelda. So maybe that's the same with Link. My new Zelda theory, or should I say, my new Link theory?
You need to stop with the theories.
Okay, I can't. But people love my theory.
All right.
I don't know, man.
Well, moving on to the next question. Kayla, go ahead and pick one out.
Oh gosh, give me a second here.
But don't pick the last one.
What?
No, I don't know. I actually didn't.
Why would you do that?
I didn't read that far, so.
Oh, the last one's kind of a good one.
Okay, you can pick it.
It's from J-Link.
Just don't pick the ones we already read.
Yeah, let's just go through those ones again. No, actually, I was gonna say, maybe from PS Killa 502. Do we really need weird characters? With what little comedic value they add, they are mostly an annoyance, which the series could do without.
This comes from, I believe on the last video we talked about like who is the weirdest character in the Zelda series, and
like every clown.
Yeah, we talked about the clowns from Skyward Sword or Twilight Princess. There is of course Tingle. There's Guru, the music box guy who like has really bad bipolar issues, gets mad at you for playing a song, which he teaches you. So it's like, here, I'm going to teach you how to play this song, but never play it.
You played the song.
Yeah, it's like, like he's worried about it spinning so fast, but then it's like, well, just stop playing the song, and maybe it'll stop spinning.
He's playing the song the whole time.
Yeah, he just sits there playing it, and he's like, "Why is everything going so fast?"
He played the song for 7 years.
I think I picked my weirdest character as Rupel from Skyward Sword, the salesman, the shopkeeper.
Rupin.
Yeah, Rupin. If you go to his house at night, there's a scene where, like, in the same way that the Happy Mask salesman, who I believe he was modeled after, like the Happy Mask salesman gets mad and shakes Link and his face gets red or whatever. Like whenever you go back and you don't have the money to pay him for his masks in Ocarina of Time, the shopkeeper in Skyward Sword does something very similar to where, like, he gets really upset at you. And then, of course, there's Beetle, who's just like,
I love him.
If you don't have the money to buy something, he just, like, makes the floor drop out and then you fall.
In Skyward Sword, true.
Yeah.
But like Wind Waker Beetle, he's so wholesome. He's just, thank you. And it's just
yeah, and then
bye. I don't know.
I gotta find his name.
I love Beetle.
So in Twilight Princess, of course we all know Tingle, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, maybe Spirit Tracks.
Yep. What?
Tingle? Was he not in Spirit Tracks?
I don't think so.
Okay, well...
Was he in Phantom Hourglass? I don't think he was.
I don't remember seeing him in Phantom Hourglass. Am I crazy?
I'll look.
I don't think so. There's a weird mailman. That's probably the weird character of Phantom Hourglass, is the mailman.
Okay, so he was in Majora's Mask, Oracle of Ages. That's weird. He was in Ages, but not Seasons. So, I don't know what's up with that. But I think Seasons had the Happy Mask salesman. So they could have, like, made them their own characters. But Tingle was in Majora's Mask, Oracle of Ages, The Wind Waker, Four Swords Adventures, Minish Cap, Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks. A statue of Tingle is in Spirit Tracks. In Phantom Hourglass, it says Tingle appears on a wanted poster behind the counter of the milk bar. So there is a warrant for his arrest.
He escaped from prison in Wind Waker. So
that's true.
By escaped, I mean you just let him out. You just let him walk out.
Skyward Sword has a Tingle-shaped doll that can be found in Zelda's room. Of course, Hyrule Warriors Legends, and then all of the Tingle games. You can play as Tingle. But in Twilight Princess, something that I didn't know until recently when I was looking up stuff for a video in Twilight Princess, there is a character named Perlo, who is the
Star Game.
Yeah. It says is a Perlo, nicknamed Ringleader, is a character from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. He is the owner of Star Games in Hyrule Castletown. He is very greedy and is allergic to dogs and wolves. Although despite this, he has good enough speaking voice and good enough looks to have admirers. So, if you look at his character model, he has the blue clock thing that Tingle has. He's dressed in green like Tingle. And
20 hat.
Yeah, there's an interview where it says the origins of Perlo. In an interview with Eiji Aonuma, stated Perlo is a representation of what Tingle would be if he were a realistic character, thus explaining their similarities in appearance. So, as weird as Tingle was as a cartoon, the realistic version of him looks even weirder. So, I just wanted to bring that up since we were talking about weird games or weird characters.
They made him look less weird. Like,
really?
Perlo's not super weird. He's slender. He doesn't have a weird mustache. He's his proportions are more normal. I don't know. I felt like he wasn't as weird as like the clown guys in Twilight Princess.
Okay, true.
Just the clowns in any Zelda game. Why are there clowns?
Breath of the Wild has
hi
the Kuko guy.
Yeah, he's one of the Sheikah.
He got a divorce from his wife because he loved the chickens. So, like, there's characters that don't look weird, but...
Sorry.
And then, I don't know if you would call it weird, but there's the girl in Skyward Sword, like the bank girl that has an obsession with Link.
Beatrice?
Yeah.
Patrice?
So...
Something like that.
I don't know. I like the weird characters. I think.
Yes, they add character.
Yeah, I feel like they add something. I don't feel like they're annoying, although I was looking through some of the comments, and someone mentioned the mailman, which I totally agree. I hate the mailman. In every game, but the one
you were looking
specifically.
through the comments on the video.
Oh,
not Quill in Wind Waker. He is the best mailman.
Oh.
So you said you were looking through the comments of the video that Daniel and I did about that topic?
Oh no, this video.
The chat?
Oh, okay, so the chat's talking about it.
Millbrush said, mailman is annoying.
Yeah.
He takes so long to give you a letter. Yeah, plus in like the Phantom Hourglass, he's like, here, I'm here to deliver your mail. And he just opens it and reads it. And it's like, dude! That's my mail!
That's not how you deliver mail.
What are you doing? So...
Yeah, he's in Twilight Princess, he's the only one that, like, walks up on Link while he's in wolf form.
Yeah, he just knows somehow, but he doesn't care.
Alright, pick our next question, Daniel.
Alright.
We probably won't have time to get through all of these, so... but we will take some questions, or a couple of questions from the chat before we finish. So get your questions ready, but it'll be 5-10 minutes before we actually get to it. We just have too many questions this time to get through all of them. But again, if you want your question to take priority, head over to patreon.com/GameOverJesse. So pick out your question, Mr. Daniel.
Okay, yeah, I'm just kind of skimming them. I'm gonna go with question from Ilya Rose.
Ooh,
who
she helped on the last video.
She did. She did some voice. She won our contest. I really liked her submission. She had a very calm voice for the video. So, but she asked, if you had all the time and money you needed, who would you cosplay as? I've never done any cosplay in my life. So that's kind of why it stuck out to me.
Here's the thing about cosplaying Link and the relation to the actual Zelda games. So if you take me or you or even Kayla, we're all big fans of The Legend of Zelda and Link. Mm-hmm. So if we cosplayed as Link, we technically wouldn't be cosplaying as Link, we would be Tingle.
What?
Yeah, because Tingle.
Don't talk like that.
Because Tingle is a huge fan of Link, who likes him so much. I'm gonna
start crying.
No, Tingle likes Link so much. He's such a big fan that he dresses up and pretends to be Link, which is what someone who cosplays Link does. So anyone who cosplays Link, you're not cosplaying Link. You're becoming Tingle.
I'm so sorry, Ilya, but I'm throwing your question in the garbage.
No. Why'd you have to bring Tingle into this? Oh.
Holly Wolf in the chat. Did someone say cosplay? That got her attention.
So, it did. Holly's cosplays are really good. If anyone was watching this
yes,
now,
she sent
very, very good.
She sent me videos of like her Breath of the Wild Zelda cosplay.
Yeah, she was just at what's it called? A con. Tetsuka Con, I think. I don't know. She was at a con, and her Zelda outfit was very good. But I'm mostly very impressed with her Guardian armor, because that's just...
I think the Sheikah, or the Sheik cosplay was the one that like made me a fan, because I didn't know who she was, and then in her profile picture it was her as Sheik, and I was like, that's really awesome. But anyways, Hylian Gibbs, famous for being the bodyguard in the Discord. He's the one that I always joke around about sicking on people, similar to you in Retro, Daniel.
Yeah, except there's a little bit of a difference.
You're Royalist Spider-Man.
Yes, my man-slave Retro.
Yeah. So he says lies. So I guess he doesn't agree that if you dress up like Link, you are essentially doing the same thing as Tingle. But yeah, going back to the original question, if you all had unlimited time and unlimited resources, and everybody in the chat, give us your answers as well, and we'll read a few off. So if you had unlimited money to buy products or whatever, you didn't have to worry about going into work, because you were basically rich, and you had unlimited time to actually sit down and make whatever cosplay you wanted to, what would it be, and who would you cosplay as? And it can't be Link. So,
No.
Yeah, because I think that's
like,
the
we could
obvious
all
go-to
cosplay
answer.
Link.
Great,
but
you
pick
just ruined
different
my
Links.
cosplay idea.
Yeah.
We could all cosplay Link and pick different incarnations of Link. We'd all be Link, but different characters technically.
I went to an anime con where there were 4 girls, all women of my dreams, that were dressed up like the Four Swords Adventures Links. So it was like green, red,
So
blue.
all the different colors.
Yeah.
I like that. That's
I think that's a cool
smart.
idea. Let's get the squad together.
Yes. Okay, so. Well, gosh, you know what would be just fun? It's just I don't know, man. This actually, I don't know why I picked this question. It's very hard now that you took Link away from me. Because I was thinking like a very good Breath of the Wild Link, like with all the accessories. I've already got my Sheikah slate, so I can just get my.
Wait, turn that
hang
around.
on my hip.
Like, turn it around.
It's actually a notebook,
I was gonna say it's a notebook. I've seen that.
Oh.
but
Okay.
it's fun.
Like,
So I'll just put
I've
this
seen a
here.
few that people have made. Like, Holly has one for her cosplay to where, like, it looks like that, but it has, like, a hollowed out spot in the middle where you can put in a tablet. So it looks
Oh.
like the real thing. But it would just be like an iPad instead of...
Yeah, but you just put your background like the Sheikah design
Exactly.
there, or you put your Nintendo Switch in, and then you turn on Breath of the Wild and just open the map, and there you go.
Yeah, except maybe you could put some magnets on it. So, like, if you get close to something metal, it'll just... I don't know. I'm being stupid. But yeah, cosplaying. Since I can't pick Link, I would...
You know, a lot of my other favorite characters are female, so I guess I'm just gonna have to cosplay a female character.
You know what? That's totally fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with. I really like Impa and like Hyrule Warriors, especially.
Sorry.
But the other, don't touch me. I like not old person Impa, but like I just
Sorry,
find,
that's why I
like,
started laughing. I was like, oh yeah, Impa from Breath of the Wild. Nice.
no, not old. Damn you. But like the Hyrule Warriors design, Skyward Sword design for Impa are both very good. I really enjoy those. Otherwise, it would be really cool to get a really good Varia suit Samus. I'm just being all the really cool, fun female characters.
Yeah, Gibbs in the chat.
I don't have the figure for Mario, so.
Gibbs in the chat says Darunia or Darmony or Daruk. So he wants to be a big Goron, which I guess would be good.
choose Daruk.
Yeah.
I love.
Holly says Mordred from the Fate series. Is that Fire Emblem Fates, or is it a different Fate series? I'll have to look that up.
I don't know. I have to Google it. I never played Fire Emblem Fates.
I was gonna say like maybe she said it in the. Nope, she didn't. I don't. That's such a hard question. Or yeah, like I think I really want to cosplay Midna personally because she's one of my favorite characters.
Holy crap!
Which Midna are we? Like which? Like her imp form or?
Her imp form probably.
Yeah, that's the better one. And yeah.
All right. Well, Kayla, give us another question.
Gotta make me work to be a guest, huh?
Yes, he's gone. He's gone. That's okay. We don't need him.
Wait, he's gone?
He's gone.
I'm back. I'm back.
He's back. Oh well, he came back. Guess I ain't running this dag show anymore.
Holly said it's an anime. I looked it up. It looks really cool. It's like it looks like a. I don't want to say a typical anime, like huge armor with like the robe and everything, but it almost looks like a version of like Inuyasha's clothes.
Does anyone else hear that tapping sound?
Oh, that's probably me. Sorry.
It is you. Every time you talk, I hear it. Like someone's tapping my headphones. That's what it sounds like. Kayla.
I think she's just looking through the
Kayla.
questions. Oh no, she's.
Oh no. Kayla. Kayla, you're muted.
Sorry,
still.
I'm looking at questions right now. It's
All right.
really, really, really hard.
All right, you pick out
Why
a
did
question.
You ask me to do this?
You pick out a question while I take this one from Pecking Duck, who asks, because it's the longest one here, so I thought I would just take it. I wonder what your thoughts on overworld events. I'm talking about things like Nehru's Pearl, escorting Prince Rails, fighting bosses like Demise in Skyward Sword or Goma in Spirit Tracks, and what is more or less the overworld, etc. Breath of the Wild got a lot of its substance from this sort of thing, but in the game it was more of a mix of monsters and a treasure chest thrown in. No cutscene or story events really. Do you think the next Zelda should have a large overworld with many of these sorts of events, or would you rather have a very linear dungeon to dungeon approach with fleshed out dungeons? Well, I think they could do both. They could have their dungeon. I don't want a linear dungeon. Like, I want a dungeon that's like actually complicated, not... When I think of linear, I think of the Twilight Palace, to where it's like, go to the left, go to the right, go through the middle. Like that, there is no like trying to figure it out. But the overworld events, like Majora's Mask had the aliens try to take the cows. Twilight Princess, you had to escort the milk to the castle.
And there's also the wagon when you're leaving Castletown with Prince Raelus and Ilya is in there, and then you escort it. It goes around the long way to Kakariko Village.
Yeah, so Twilight Princess had a few of those, and it still had more dungeons than any other Zelda game, and some of the best dungeons as well. So you can have both. You don't just pick one or the other.
Yeah, you can have your cake and eat your dungeon too. So.
Yeah, okay.
Don't worry.
Yeah. But yeah, what are your guys... Kayla, what's your thoughts on overworld events? Since Daniel and I kind of... Well, I don't think Daniel did, but I'm in favor of them. So what about you?
Daniel, stop.
Overworld events in Zelda games. How do you feel about them?
Yeah. I think that'd actually be a very interesting idea, because I mean there's so much that goes on, but at the same time, like, having an actual like event that you go to and that you plan on going to, like, I think I could do that, but at the same time I feel like there's way too much going on in game.
Do you have any particular events that you like the most? Like earlier I mentioned rescuing the cows from Majora's Mask, and then there are the 2 escort missions in Twilight Princess.
Oh, no escort missions. No escort missions ever again. 0 out of 10.
But like in Twilight Princess, there's the whole thing where you have to rescue, what's his name, Colin.
Yeah.
And you know, then there's the jousting thing on the bridge, but before that, there's this whole big horseback battle that probably like that was what everyone was dreaming about when they first saw the trailers. Like, that was the moment.
I felt like all of that was really cool, but like, I don't know, I just can't do escort missions. Something about them just hurt my soul.
I think it depends though. Like in Wind Waker, there's kind of escort missions, but you can also like switch
the
to
dungeons?
that character. Yeah, like the dungeons, like you have a companion character. You pretty much the dungeons, you have to escort them to the end of the dungeon.
Yeah,
Probably, but
he mentions Goma in Spirit Tracks. Is that when like you're in the cave and it's chasing after you?
Yeah, that part gets your blood pumping. Like that's like, God.
Yeah. And then there's like the giant Octorok or octopuses in
Wind Waker.
Wind Waker.
Yeah, the huge Octorocks.
The sand ship boss in Skyward Sword, where like after you complete the dungeon, before you make your way to the boss fight, like you have to like traverse through the sand ship while it's being torn apart by its tentacles. I thought that was really cool. It's not an overworld thing, but it was still really cool.
I just kind of wish the sand ship
stuff
stayed broken. I feel like the whole thing gets torn to pieces, and then you finish the boss, and then it's like, we fixed it. You know,
Magic.
They should have just let it. They should have just left it.
I don't even
be.
know how you fix something like that. How is that
Yeah.
possible? You have to rebuild the entire thing.
It's a whole ship. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
It's fine. You glue this part back on. You're good to go.
All right. Were you able to find a question, Kayla?
I did find a question. I was looking very hard.
All right.
And
We'll go
then I lost.
to Daniel after Kayla's question. We'll go to Daniel.
Awesome. So, you guys probably get lots of Smash questions. I don't, because I don't do podcasts. So, what do we got? Tevi Bear asks, who do you guys want to see as a brand new character in Super Smash Bros?
Ooh, Goku. But
Goku?
he would, yeah. But
Why Goku?
I played
Dragon Ball.
I played Super Smash Bros. Brawl. There was a huge modding community to where like any character you could think of, you could essentially download it, put it on an SD card, and put the SD card in the Wii so you could play as that character. And there was one for Goku, but he was like really overpowered because his Kamehameha, which was his one of his attacks, was essentially the huge cannon that Samus has.
Okay.
So it's like
a final smash.
Yeah, it was essentially like an overpowered Goku, but it was still really cool to have him on there. And then, but realistically, like, I don't know, some obscure character from the Zelda series, or
Tingle. I like that you stopped and
Tingle.
you're like, realistically, because we can't have Goku in a Smash game. Come on.
well, like they would have to be.
We never thought we'd get Cloud, though.
True.
But at least Cloud is a video game character. I mean, Goku's in. There are Dragon Ball video games, but that wasn't like what he originated from.
Yeah.
I don't know. So is that your answer? Is that your final answer, Jesse?
Like everyone wants like Banjo-Kazooie, but at this point I think it would be more likely to get Yooka-Laylee. But then it's like Yooka-Laylee doesn't have the nostalgia as Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, I feel like Banjo would be a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah. When there was the like Smash polls that they like where you could submit and vote before Smash 4 came out. You could vote on who. No, it was after it came out, but before the DLC characters had all come out. You kind of vote on who you thought you would like to see, and then it was Bayonetta that won, which really caught me off guard because no one on the internet was talking about Bayonetta.
Well, they said out of the characters that they could get, Bayonetta was the highest ranked.
Yeah.
So that.
Which makes sense. Yeah, but like it just really caught me off guard. I was like, really, Bayonetta? Okay, okay. I was at that time. I was really pushing the Banjo-Kazooie train personally. Like I am all about Banjo-Kazooie. So to see them in a Smash game would have been really cool.
He could just put a character in his bag and throw it over the side.
Yeah, there's your grab. You throw tucks in the bag. But since that didn't come to fruition, my actual pick, and I think it'd be more likely than getting Banjo-Kazooie, would be Shovel Knight. I think, why not? I love Shovel Knight.
Shovel Knight is totally doable.
So in the chat, Spirit Priestess says Isaac from Golden Sun. Ashley, the Patreon supporter, says Rivali. Of course she does.
No!
Of course, Rivali.
Gibbs.
You know what, Ashley? I'm in on that with you.
No, if they picked a champion from Breath of the Wild, Daruk would be the best Smash fighter out of the four of them.
Okay.
I'm just saying. You don't believe me.
Holly says Agatha. She can smack people with her umbrella and make her bugs attack you.
That's your pick? I expected better, Holly.
Someone says Amistara from Akami. That looks like all that we've gotten so far. There's a lot for Yooka-Laylee.
A dog, Bill Brush. I like the way you think.
All right. But yeah, you were talking about Darnia or Darunia, the Goron.
Daruk?
I've always Daruk. I've always wanted if they treated young Link similar to the Pokemon trainer, to where like the Pokemon trainer you can throw out the Pokeballs and you can get like Charizard or whoever else in Brawl, I believe. They separated the characters on the Wii U version. But if they made Young Link similar to that, to where you didn't necessarily play as Young Link, but you would put on the different masks, and that would be akin to the different Pokemon. So like, you could put on a Deku mask, the Goron mask, the Zora mask, and then your final smash would be him putting on the Fierce Deity mask, and then like doing whatever. So like, I was a big fan of that. That would be like my dream thing that Nintendo could actually do, since they own the characters. But yeah. So going back to it, Kayla, who is your pick?
See, that's really hard because I really wanted Villager and we got Villager, and now I don't know where to go from there.
You have nothing to look forward to.
Yeah, like
the motorcycle from Excite Bike.
Well, we got
we already have one motorcycle. Thanks to Wario, we don't need any more.
True. But I mean, if Little Mac can make it from an assist trophy to a playable character, maybe the motorcycle can make the leap from...
All right, Daniel, final answer.
Yes. My final answer, I'm going to say Shovel Knight. I'd love to see Shovel Knight. Pretty much all his moves in the game could translate over into Smash. And like all the relics could be as specials and stuff like that. So,
all right, take us to our next question, Daniel.
Yes, this one is from Jacoby. He asks, "What is your favorite Zelda mid-boss fight of all time?" So not like a dungeon boss.
Yeah, Jacoby is J-Link from the Discord for people that don't know.
J-Link, my friend.
Yes.
Good question.
Favorite mini boss? I feel like a lot of people would say Dark Link.
Dark Link's a good one. Dark Link's, but like a little overplayed now, I guess. Well, at least not actually in the games, but like as far as the fandom is concerned, like how they obsess over things.
I like the Dark Nut battle from Ganon's Castle in Twilight Princess.
I thought those ones were fun. They're a little bit repetitive because like you see them a lot, but then they kind of changed them up, which I thought was kind of cool.
He was the one enemy that I would have loved in Breath of the Wild, like similar to the I can't believe I forgot their names. The horse people. No, the Lynels.
The Lynels.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so
like really hard.
Like it could be like the instead of putting the Lynels in the castle, like there's some of the rooms that you can go into and the door's shut, and then there's a Lionel that pops up. Instead of having that, if you would get into the room, and there would be like a statue that would just come to life, and it's a Dark Nut, because in the same way, like when you're far away from the Lionels, they'll shoot the arrows and stuff at you, but as you get closer, they get more aggressive. So the Dark Nuts could be just like that, to where whenever you're far away, maybe they just like stand there menacingly, but if you come near them, then they'll attack. But not only that, if you try to run away, then the more damage you've done to them, the faster they get, because as you damage them, it always knocks off their armor. And then when their armor gets all the way knocked off, their attacks aren't as strong, but they attack a lot faster. So if they did something similar to that, which they did in Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess, but if they had that in Breath of the Wild, I think it would have solved one of the issues that they had with like the variety of enemies. So instead of and then it would make sense because like those are like really armored knights, and a knight would belong in the castle. So yeah, that's my thought on that. I don't know if it would be my favorite, but I really liked it. And then there's the Majora's Mask had the boss to where like there was the thing in the bubble. I forget.
In the bubble.
I'll look it up while you guys are giving yours. And then
are you talking about like the where it's on the ceiling, like the wart, I think it's called?
I think so.
And it's like a giant eyeball, and it's got a bunch of bubbles around it.
Yeah.
And then you get the ice arrows, I think.
Because he's also a boss in A Link to the Past.
Yeah. So I think it's called Wart. just a really lame name.
All right, and then trying to think of the last one. I don't know. Okay, so yeah, I can't think of it. You guys go. No, the Grim Reaper dude
my
from
turn.
Majora's
Ooh.
Mask.
Oh, that's a good one actually.
Yeah.
And he turns into a bunch of bats.
What's his name?
I don't remember.
And then Twilight
He's
Princess
like
had
from
a
Stone Tower Temple, right?
yeah. Twilight Princess had
Yeah.
a variation of him.
The
To
like
where-
Deathblade guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like there was the two different variations, and I like that as well. But those are my favorite mini bosses. Kayla, you're up. And let us know in the chat what your favorite
Gomez.
bosses are. Comment below, and we'll read out some of the stuff.
Gomez is who you're thinking of. This guy.
Look at that. You
Yeah.
did the Google for you.
I
Oh,
did
what a
the
nice
Google.
guy.
See, I have my laptop here. I was gonna Google it, so thank you for saving me the trouble.
I feel like Skyward Sword had a lot of really strong like mid bosses. I really like those. Like
Would you be mad if I told you I don't remember any of the mini bosses from Skyward Sword?
Jesse.
Well, first
Who
off,
runs
we
the
were
Zelda
just talking
channel?
about the skeleton dude. Come on,
Oh
that
yeah.
guy. He was a good mid boss.
Oh, the one with the too many arms?
Yeah, the one with the too many arms. Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed him. I've seen all of my friends be really infuriated over fighting him. But the one that always stands out to me is I remember playing Ocarina of Time for the first time when I was younger. The mid boss in the Water Temple when you're a kid freaked me right out. I absolutely hated
Oh,
that
the
boss.
giant Octorok?
Yeah, I don't know why. Something about that thing just terrified me, and I just haven't gotten over it.
Oh,
So,
Skirvo was interesting.
Oh yeah, he was
Servo.
good.
And then
I
there's
really like
in Skykeep. There's another variation called Dreadfuse.
the
So
pirates.
yeah, that's interesting.
Robot pirates. In Skyward Sword, there's I don't know if it counts as a mid boss, but right before you fight Girahim for the last time, there's the horde of bokoblins.
Okay, yeah.
oh yeah.
And that's just fun, just because you're
That-
like so overpowered at that point that you're just
That was
one-shotting
foreshadowing Hyrule Warriors.
That was foreshadowing Hyrule Warriors.
It was. It was getting
really
ready, getting you
was.
ready for those groups.
Yeah, you could do like a spin attack and it would just like
Just
decimate
them. Yeah,
Jinx.
and that was fun. Trying to think of some other good mid bosses.
I feel like we didn't let Kayla say anything.
Oh no, that's all I had.
No, you have more. Just talk over me.
Yeah,
That's my
that's fine.
method.
It's fine. Nobody listened to Daniel. Everyone listened to me.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Ashley in the chat. Ashley has Dark Hammer. Gibbs has that giant Octorok in Ocarina of Time. I hate the spinning platform. The Game Informer bot says Iron Knuckle, Ocarina of Time, which was what I was saying earlier.
That's a really good one though.
Uh,
Oh, you know who I love? The Helmarok King. In
I
Wind
hope-
Waker.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the best mid boss, hands down. Because you hate him, right? Because
Well, you hate him.
is he a mid boss though, or is he actually like technically the boss? I guess Phantom Ganon would be the mid boss,
and what?
and the Forsaken Fortress in Wind Waker for your second visit. So the Helmarok King. Jesse, you look so lost. Are you okay?
There was
It's the big bird
there was
guy.
a bad
sorry.
comment on the chat, and I was trying to make sure that it was deleted.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It was about me.
Either way, like I guess Helmarok King, you got the heart piece from him, or the heart container, so I guess he's actually the boss, dungeon boss. But he's a great one. I'm gonna go with Phantom Ganon then, from Forsaken Fortress. Especially because if you played like Ocarina of Time as a kid, then you kind of knew what to expect. But he's not like the dungeon boss. He's
There's
just
the
minion.
like on his sword. It has the names of the sword makers from Majora's
Kagura?
Mask.
Yes. Okay, who's Dark Hammer? Oh, Dark Hammer from Twilight Princess. That's someone in the chat had said Dark Hammer, and I was like, who dat? But that he's just great because you get the ball and chain, and I just love that item. That's probably one of the better items in Twilight Princess. Jesse's gone.
No, I'm here.
He's hiding.
Hero of Time asks, "Hey, Game Over Jesse and Lorulian Historian." What?
That's not who I am.
Maybe that was left on. Okay, that was on Discord for the other day when we did the mini mailbag. But he says, "Would you like to have more bosses in the next Zelda game, like Varin, Onyx from Oracle Games, or something new?" So Varin and Onyx were Capcom.
Oracles.
Yeah, they were made by
Oracle games.
Capcom. So, like with Vaddy and some of the other stuff, Nintendo doesn't really have the rights to use those because they were like Capcom owns part of it and Nintendo owns part of it, which is why some of the characters in Super Mario RPG, which was made by Square, even though Nintendo owns Mario games and stuff, they don't own those characters. That's why you never seen some of them show back up in future Mario games, unless they had a very specific agreement. So the characters that you named off, there would have to be something there with Capcom for them to reuse those. And Majora is like a fan favorite, and we still haven't seen anything even hinting or relating to him. So, other than like the wearing the mask. So.
Yeah. The mask showing up kind of in the background here and there.
So, to alter this question a little bit, are there any... And this kind of goes with the question we had before, because it was about mini-bosses. But with this, they're saying, what kind of bosses would you like to see in the next Zelda game? Give an idea for a boss that you would like to see, and then give a boss from a past game that you would like to see returned. Like, there's a lot of 2D Zelda games that has really awesome bosses that haven't been featured in a 3D game.
That's true.
So, I'm going to say the obvious. I would like to see Majora return because I want to know more about it. So,
yeah, no, I definitely agree there because we don't know enough about Majora, right?
Yeah, and then the boss from A Link Between Worlds, where you had to like go 2D on its shield to dodge.
Oh, that was like Blind the Thief.
Yeah, the Thieves' Hideout or whatever it's called.
Yeah, so he was in A Link to the Past as well. But he didn't. The boss fight was different, which I really liked that they changed it to fit that game's mechanics.
Yeah, and anytime there's a dragon, I'm a big fan of. Like Volvagia, however you want to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Argarok from Twilight Princess. Valu wasn't necessarily a boss.
But he was a boss.
Yeah. So, starting with you, Daniel.
Okay,
so bosses.
A boss I'd like to see return. Well, geez, I mean, there's some really good. Like we haven't seen like any classic like Aquamentus or anything like that from like the NES Zelda games.
That was a dragon as well.
Yeah, it was a unicorn dragon.
My favorite kind.
Or at least a dragon with a horn. I don't know. But like, yeah, like you said, like all of the dragon boss fights have always been really cool. I think there was one in Zelda 2 as well, but he was more like Val.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a different name in the original, but whenever they brought it to the Game Boy Advance, they renamed it Volvagia or Volvagia. I don't know how to pronounce that dragon's name, so
let's just all agree to pronounce it differently and use every.
Yeah.
But
no one gets a clear pronunciation.
From the chat, Gibbs says Volga from Hyrule Warriors. Ashley says Twinrova.
Twinrova, yeah.
So,
yeah, but
right.
Let's see. What was the other? Was this a two-part question?
What?
So that's a returning boss.
Yeah, returning, and then what would you like to see?
Yeah, I guess I answered it already. So Kayla.
That's such a hard question because I honestly don't really think about the bosses when I'm fighting them, or if I even really have favorite bosses. I'm so...
Phantom Ganon was pretty cool too.
Phantom
I really
Ganon
like
was
Phantom
cool.
Ganon. Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to see them bring back some of like the older bosses, like from NES Zelda games, because I feel like they could really improve on those characters and what they do.
Yep.
And I just really like to see that way that they get done now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Pick
And
our
not just Dark Link.
yeah, pick our next question, Daniel.
Okay.
And then
I should
we'll
open the
get
questions.
Ashley to pick after that, and then we'll take 2 from the chat, and then we'll be done. So 4 more questions.
Okay. Let's see, which one did we not already do? Okay. This one, I think we've answered this one already, but I mean, Kayla wasn't here, and I guess we'll kind of go over it again. This one's from Hero of Time. Hero of Time asks, can you talk about which Link is the most tragic one throughout all of the Zelda series? I think it was Ocarina of Time Link.
A Link to the Past begins with your uncle dying.
That's true.
And your mom and dad are probably already dead.
And the last thing you see of that Link is him being lost at sea.
Yeah.
So who knows what happened after that?
Depending on
Probably
which
died, I mean.
depending on which timeline you look at, he has
Like
what is
4
it?
adventures, really.
Yeah,
like
so
the
Hyrule
games.
Historia's timeline has him go through A Link to the Past, Oracle of Ages and Seasons, and then Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
And then in Link's Awakening, the way it ends, everyone that you met and built a connection with, they don't necessarily die, they just disappear.
Cease to exist.
Yeah. It's like they never existed. So I imagine that's pretty crazy. Majora's Mask, he has to keep reliving the same 3 days over and over and over, but then you can go back to Ocarina of Time to where you can assume your mom and dad's already dead. The only father figure that you've ever known is the Deku Tree, but he dies at the beginning as well. The bully of Kokiri Forest, Mido, blames you for it. And then you go on your quest, you become friends with the Zora, the Gorons, everyone. And then, once you're an adult, you find out all the people you met in Hyrule Castle, their homes are destroyed. You go to Kakariko Village, it eventually burns down, sort of. Lon Lon Ranch is completely taken over by evil Luigi. All of the Gorons that you met and became friends with are being fed to a dragon. The Zoras that you met and became friends with are essentially frozen to death. And it's like the whole world gets turned upside down in Ocarina of Time. And then in Majora's Mask, he lives through the same 3 days over and over, and then depending on the timeline you look at, he's like a skeleton in Twilight Princess teaching his great whatever grandson. But then in the Downfall timeline, he dies. So he's the only Link that canonically fails to save Hyrule.
That's true.
So, Wind Waker Link, his sister gets kidnapped, but everything kind of works out for him. Even in Phantom Hourglass, there's nothing
still
that
got
bad.
the happy music. His life is going okay. It's fine.
It might suck being in the heat, but that's the only bad thing that I can really think of.
I never really thought about Ocarina of Time like that. Now I just
now it's so
sad.
sad.
I feel really different. I feel sad. I
feel
feel like
my
I'm gonna play that
childhood is-
game and just cry.
Emo Link.
Oh, no. I think I think Hero of Time might very well be the most quote unquote tragic one. Then if we're going by all that, because
Yeah.
the other Links don't really have much bad stuff happen to them.
Yeah, Twilight, Wind Waker Link. Everybody remembers that Link, the Hero of Time, was a huge hero. There's a statue of him in the castle when you get the Master Sword. But in Twilight Princess, nobody knows he saved Hyrule. So it's yeah. Yeah, that's my thing.
Well, this is just upsetting.
Yeah. Did you guys have anything final to say? I kind of took over that question. I apologize.
No, that's fine. You
had a good
covered all
answer.
the bases there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no real story in like Zelda 1 or Zelda 2. Minish Cap. It's
Yeah.
his friend. Minish Cap starts out with like everything's all happy. Zelda's like, come to the carnival or whatever it is, and then you talk to all the shopkeepers. But then Vatty comes. Ashley, pick our next question, and then everyone that's watching.
It's not Ashley.
Okay. If you look at the comments, Ashley says you called Kayla Ashley.
That's funny because
Earlier.
you've been saying Ashley, and this entire time I was like, oh, I wonder what Ashley's doing. You were talking about me. I'm Ashley.
I feel like an idiot, but yeah. So
Hello, everyone. My name is changed from Kayla to Ashley.
no, like earlier I called you Ashley, and it was like that was like an honest mix-up. But this time Ashley said that I called you Ashley, and then it just like I need to pay attention. Like it literally has your name on the screen, but like I keep calling you Ashley.
I'm so offended.
Yes, but
Okay,
what
we're
question?
gonna call Jesse something else. We're gonna call him Steve for the rest of the podcast.
And then
Steve.
like to make
Game
it
over,
worse,
Steven.
if you've been in the Discord, everyone's been changing their name to Ashley. So there was like 15.
True.
There's like
Oh no. Okay. So now that I know that I'm Ashley, my question that I'm picking, Colin P. Mitchell, what is one Nintendo game you would like to see at E3?
Yoshi.
Yoshi.
I want Yoshi.
You can't just grab the mic and lean in and just say Yoshi. That doesn't say
Yoshi.
anything.
Yes, I can.
Um,
This is my show.
okay, so what I would want for me would be whatever the 2D Zelda game is going to be. I want to see that get announced. But for Nintendo as a whole, I would like to see Smash Brothers be announced and come out, because everyone who would be interested in buying a 2D Zelda game would have likely already bought the Switch to play Breath of the Wild. So there wouldn't be many people buying a Switch just to play the 2D Zelda game. It would mostly be people who already own a Switch. But if Smash Brothers comes out, then there are tons of people who would buy a Switch just for that game. So that's what I'm going with. Personally, I would like to see 2D Zelda, but for Nintendo, so they can get a lot more units out,
I was
I
gonna
would
say
say
Smash
Smash
is what's
Brothers.
gonna make their money.
I still want Yoshi.
So
Yoshi.
that's it? Oh, that was actually your answer?
That's
Oh.
actually, I love Yoshi, man.
Okay,
Come
wow.
on.
Passionate.
Yoshi's wholesome. Okay, also, I would like to know more about Metroid, but we've talked Metroid to death
Yeah,
in previous episodes.
it's okay.
But
The entire world has talked Metroid to death.
I
Yeah.
love Metroid.
I
so-
don't think Metroid would sell too many more Switches either. Like, I think that would be
No.
another game to where it's like 90% of the people that would buy it already own a Switch. So
Oh yeah, no, yeah. It's just kind of my own personal wish list.
in the chat, Gibbs says Star Fox.
Star Fox.
The Game Informer says Animal Crossing.
Yes,
The
Animal
Game
Crossing.
Informer?
Phil Brush. I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Oh, it's Game Informer
Okay.
as opposed to Game Informer magazine.
Yeah. Phil Brush says Luigi's Mansion 3, which I would love to see. Luigi's Mansion 3. Alright, so everyone in the chat, give us your questions that you would like to have answered, and after this last question, we will pick two of them. So, picking a random one. Let's see. Hero of Time says... No, we already took those. I think we actually went through most of these questions. We were only supposed to...
So.
Alright, Just Cliff says, how would you like to see Game Freak revitalize the Pokemon series in the upcoming game for Nintendo Switch? He also asked the same question in the chat, so he posted in the
he really
Discord and
wants
the
this
chat.
one
Oh,
answered.
yeah, he really wants that answered.
Yes. And then for the last question, Victor says Pikmin 4. wants to
Yes.
see.
Okay. Good answer.
Pikmin 4.
Pikmin's not a system seller either. It's a very much a niche game as far as Nintendo's like IPs go, but I just love those little guys. Just, although Pikmin is more tragic than any Zelda game because it's like a mass grave. It's like you expect like this kid-friendly game, and then it's just like your soldiers falling in battle, and you're just crying because all the little ghosts fly up. There's a meme about this. You have to look it up. Let's just go to the next question.
All right. Well, how would you like to see the Pokemon series revitalized?
I think we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier.
Yeah,
When
but
we were
we can do this
Pokemon
one
Switch,
kind of
but-
quickly. I would say like more of an open world-ish game, like more of a 3D focus instead of it being just like top down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like if you have like more of a like not 3D in the way that like Pokemon Sun and Moon were like technically like 3D, but like a proper like 3D worlds.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
kind of like what I mentioned earlier, Gale of Darkness for GameCube was a really good example of how they managed to bring Pokemon to more of a 3D setting. So yeah, I feel like if we were to see something different for Pokemon on Nintendo Switch, it would definitely be going in a more 3D direction, but then it would make like doing online capabilities really difficult. I just feel like the bar is set so high for a new Nintendo Switch Pokemon game.
I think we'll love it either way though.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're Nintendo fans. We eat it up. We don't care.
That's like I said, like if Nintendo released a toaster, people would buy it because it has the Nintendo logo on it.
Yeah.
And that includes myself. So
All right. I think
what's
our
next, Jesse?
Gibbs, our second to last question. Do you see it?
I should open the chat.
Okay. Well, okay, so Gibbs says, what is a PlayStation game that you would like to see ported to the Nintendo Switch?
Oh. Well, I really wanted Rocket League and then we got it. So
That solves
I guess Crash, man. Give me
Oh yeah,
Insane
Crash
Trilogy.
would be great on Nintendo
Yeah.
Switch.
I would say
So many hours of rage-induced fun.
There's a lot. Like, I think it would be cool to get Overwatch or Destiny because there's no games like that on the Switch.
That's so weird. When I think Overwatch, I think like PC game. I forgot people play it on PlayStation.
I guess it's multi-platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that
I
would
thought it
be
meant, like PlayStation exclusive. That's what I thought
Oh.
when he said. I don't know. I might have jumped the gun though on that.
Well,
I
like
don't know,
as
maybe some Final Fantasy games.
yeah,
That'd be pretty
there was
cool.
the rumor where they said they were like trying to put Final Fantasy 15 on the Switch, but they like couldn't get the engine working, so they're trying to like move everything to Unreal Engine.
I mean, they could do the 7 remake and put it on the Switch. I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I would get the nostalgia fluids pumping, so that
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, like
And everyone's been
especially 'cause
overhyped
that era-
with that game for years.
It's true.
I think. See, like, there's a lot of games. Ni no Kuni 2. It's a cartoonish Wind Waker looking RPG game. And I would like to see it come to the Switch. Because it has, like, the first one was for PlayStation 3, and the second one's for PlayStation 4. But it looks identical to the Wind Waker. So I don't think they wouldn't have to downgrade it to get it to run on the Switch, because like if the Wind Waker can run on the Wii U, then this game should be able to run on the Switch. And I would like to see that as my game. And I don't think there are any more questions, so that brings
I
us
think so.
to the very end of our podcast. Kayla, Daniel, thank you both for for joining on this episode of the podcast.
Thank you for joining.
Yes.
Jesse.
Yes, thank you,
Steve.
Jesse, for joining.
Yeah.
Game over Steven.
Game over Steven.
So for everyone who is watching that may not know who you are, go ahead and tell us all about you again, Daniel.
Oh, me. Y'all, I hope
Yeah.
you know who I am
We'll
by
get
this
we'll
point.
get to Kayla second.
I'm Daniel.
You know what else it is?
Oh,
My
what
no,
is it,
sorry.
Jesse?
I was trying to think, like, my ex is named Kayla. So it
That's
might
true.
be like subconsciously I just don't want to say your name.
Daniel first, Kayla later, or Ashley, whoever I am. You can just call me Chewy. That's my online handle. That's fine.
Chublima?
Chublima.
Chublima. Is it just because you like Chewie from Star
I am
Wars?
so passionate about Wookiees.
I
I'm
love
so
Chewie.
passionate. You have no idea. Anyways, Daniel,
wholesome.
tell us about yourself.
So who am I? I'm Daniel. I co-host this DAG podcast. I also have a website called Burger Sun Media, and my Twitter handle is @CaptainBurgerson. Jesse probably put it in the corner, right here.
Yeah,
Probably.
as always.
As usual. So you should probably follow me. I haven't gained a single Twitter follower from plugging my Twitter in this podcast every week for like 6 months, but it's still worth mentioning. And yeah, sometimes I work on other projects, and if you keep track of my Twitter or my website, you can follow along to see what I work on. Mostly I work on this channel though, so just stick around here.
All right. And
All right.
Kayla, where can people find you?
Oh gosh, where can people find me? I don't know if Jesse did the thing, but I have him on Twitter too, and I think my Twitter is like Chublima or something, which we had this conversation. If you need to find me anywhere, Chublima. You can literally Google me. I'm everywhere.
And what kind of posts can they expect? Because you don't have a YouTube channel, do you?
I don't have a YouTube channel.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not an internet person like you guys. I don't post about video games and stuff. I just exist somewhere on the internet.
She has a
But-
real life.
I mean,
outside of
I
the
do have a
internet.
real life, but I'm also a brand
Seen it.
ambassador and I love video games, so yeah, like
If you're in the Vancouver, you can find Kayla at Nintendo
no,
events.
don't find me ever. Oh yes,
Find her.
in the Wario conference room, that's where I am.
Yeah. Is that a real room?
It's a real room.
Take me.
Yeah, Kayla was talking about that whenever you were
Oh.
before you got on. She was talking about
Okay.
the room because
The
we were talking.
Wario room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they paint it yellow with
No.
a purple table?
Yeah.
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 I'm excited for it. For a room.
It makes me wonder what other rooms they have. Like if there's a Wario room, is there like a Tingle room?
Can we just stop with the tingle for like
Why?
All right, everybody. I am Game Over Jesse. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, everything / Game Over Jesse. Really easy to find. But please go follow Daniel on Twitter. Go follow Kayla on Twitter. Head over to our Discord where you can chat with us. Make fun of Daniel. Make fun of me. Make fun of Retro. Join in on all the fun. Bye, everybody.